Welcome everyone to another episode of the world's greatest news and reviews.
Giving you opinions about nerd stuff is our superpower.
I'm Captain Mao.
And I'm Weapon 2, and I'm overweight, just living large on episode 38.
Well done, sir.
No, thanks.
I liked it. And thank you guys for joining us on episode 38 of the world's greatest podcast. In today's episode, we're going to do a deep dive into the Disney Plus original series, Loki. We are going to talk about Black Widow, the movie that finally released after being delayed over a year. But before we get into those, we're going to tell you guys a little bit of what we've been up to and the little break that we've had. We had a bit of a hiatus, but we're back again, episode 38. I'm super excited. Are you super excited?
I'm super fantabulous excited, yes. It's awesome.
Well, Weapon 2, I couldn't be happier to be here. Cheers. Throw it up.
Cheers, all right.
And why don't you tell the viewers at home, what have you been up to? What have you been watching?
Oh, boy. Let me tell you. Digging a lake in the backyard.
Yeah, it's a big fucking lake.
Just got through a heat wave.
Well,
you know, lots going on. Yeah. Working. You know. What have you been up to?
Well, you know, much of the same, minus digging a gigantic hole in my backyard.
Oh,
which,
okay.
Fuck, it's so big. But, yeah, working and the heat waves. But in terms of, like, what media I've been consuming, I did finally get around to checking out Jupiter's Legacy.
Yes.
Which is something that you watched pretty much right away as it aired, right?
That is correct.
So, I'm not going to go too in-depth on it, but I will say, without a shadow of a doubt, it was okay. I mean, it was fine. It was... So, I've heard, like, back and forth with this. I've heard a lot of people say that it was really, really good and really interesting and, like, unique and all that. And I've heard people say that it was utter garbage. I don't think it was utter garbage, and I don't think it was the greatest thing in the world. I feel like it was okay. I think it started really strong, and then it got really kind of boring and hard to watch there in the middle. And then I think it ended pretty strong. I think there were some definite strong points in the whole should they kill, shouldn't they kill, like the son killing the clone of what is essentially, Doomsday or Darkseid or whatever. And that whole, I loved the media response and like whether or not to uphold the code, all that kind of stuff. I love that story. That was really good. I like the story going on with his daughter. There's lots of good stuff. There's also lots of stuff that was just really, really boring. It definitely needed a bigger budget, and like looking into it, I saw that it got approved for X amount, like a lot of money. They went over budget really quickly, and then kind of were scrambling to make it up. And I feel like you can tell because certain parts of it did not look good, but certain parts did. I think one of the problems for me, and this is a dumb critique to have, but like the makeup for them looking older, especially on what's the main guy?
The Utopian.
Horrible. Like clearly like the most fake generic fucking beard and hair. Like it just looks so bad. But some of the costumes look cool. Some of the fights are pretty cool. Overall it wasn't bad. It definitely ended with me being like, oh, okay, I would watch the next season. But there's not going to be a next season. It got canceled, and I'm not heartbroken, if that makes sense.
Well, heartbroken. I mean, what would make you heartbroken in life nowadays? I mean, yeah, I'm not going to get heartbroken over a show.
I mean, I don't really have a heart, so it's hard to break something that's not there.
For me, this is what, having read the comics and been excited for it, because I did like the comics, and I still think that there's a lot of unique, interesting things about this. I don't know how other people... I think a lot of people got confused with all the jumping forward and backward, but I liked...
That was pretty straightforward.
The story.
Yeah.
You know, the traveling to Kong Island, Skull Island...
basically, right?
Slash Indiana Jones... trip to figure out where they got their powers and stuff. I liked in the comic books, and I liked in the show... all the things going on. There's a lot of stuff, of course, that bothered me. I mean, it's... Of course, he's getting some type of a calling, okay, of where to go for the thing. So, but it's weird when a guy's just walking down the middle of the street in the middle of the Midwest, and he just to find a windmill.
Yeah,
there's stuff like that.
That could have been done better. That was pretty forced.
But for me, the biggest problem and the thing, other than the things you already said, budget, probably show running things a little bit could have been done better. The biggest thing I think that they did was they tried to withhold subject matter, like they were going in for the long run with this thing.
Yeah.
Because that entire season was based on just the story from 2, not graphic novels, 2 regular thin comic book
like
issues.
single issues, 2
that
issues you could read in 5 minutes.
Yes, that's what that entire season was based
So
on.
they were expecting fucking 6 seasons in a movie.
I think that thing would have been more compelling and sped things up and kept people more interesting if all of a sudden you realized what Brainwave or whatever was up to about halfway through.
Yeah, that was cool. That was a cool reveal.
Yes.
But that was the fucking last episode.
Right. And so, but I mean, if you would have started getting the feeling that he was up to something and about halfway through, he's the enemy, and now you're into the whole next thing about the sun being on his side and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, he should have been a reveal at the end of episode 2.
Yeah.
Like if we're being super,
because what it goes on to is the son now is on his uncle's side,
Right.
and they're against the Utopian.
And he doesn't even start manipulating him until like the second to last episode.
Right.
Or the third to last, whatever.
I think if that started earlier, that would have made the story more interesting, and it would have kept things going. It would have put more interesting plot in.
It wouldn't have been as boring and with as much filler. Because honestly, and like I bitch all the time about shows not taking their time and letting storylines or emotion resonate. And this is kind of the opposite. Like it needed to move quicker. Because honestly, all that flashback stuff should have been 1 or 2 episodes.
Yeah.
That did not need to be like a story long arc or a season long arc. Sorry. And you're right. They really needed to pick up the speed as to who the villain was and what was going on and all that kind of stuff. Because it literally was interesting in the beginning, interesting at the end, and all the middle was really like I had to force myself to watch it. Yeah. And you're right, like they should have sped it up, which is a shame because it sounds like it's about to get really interesting, but now I'll never fucking know unless I read the comic. But I applaud them for like wanting to take their time with something. That's fine, but you never know if you're gonna get another season, so you really got to try to hook me and be faster. But yeah, no, so overall it wasn't bad. I'm not sad I watched it. Like it was pretty neat, but
Yeah,
I mean, some of the writing and like some of just how the show was framed, like not quite Arrowverse cheesy, but there's a lot of cheese in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I for me, I felt like the cheese was part of the meal because it was when you're dealing with superheroes from the 30s, okay, comic books from the 30s were super cheesy.
Right.
It was super cheesy. It was all old timey, So I think that when you're dealing with people who have been superheroes for 100 years,
right,
okay, you're going to have to kind of throw some of that in. I think it needs to because they are cheesy. They're going to be cheesy. They're going to be old timey. Their thinking's going to be outdated, and I think that was in that way of putting it in there. It was needed, but I know there was some weird writing. For me, there was one point where they were in the first episode where they were going to dinner. They were going to their parents' house.
Yeah, that was
dinner.
That was particularly rough.
And then the daughter shows up.
Yeah.
And there was for me, I had to get past that because it got a little overacty too much.
Yeah, so the cheese, I will say you're right. It does kind of work within the narrative of this show and what it's doing. It doesn't negate the fact that it's still overly cheesy and kind of overacted sometimes. Because even with her, with the daughter, the scene when they're all doing drugs at like her apartment too, like that was a little overly done to me. Yeah. And there's definitely just throughout the show. And like her relationship with like the son of the main bad guy, whoever, like there was parts where her in general, she was just overacting. So like, yeah. But anyway, not a bad show. Worth checking out if you've got 10 hours of your life to kill. So, but another thing that I checked out that I think we both saw was a little movie that dropped on the Amazon Primes starring Chris Pratt called The Tomorrow War. Weapon 2. What'd you think of that?
Boy, I'll tell you, the Tomorrow War was a very interesting concept and plot to follow. I'll tell you one thing. those spikes, the bad alien monsters, scary as F.
Looked cool.
Those things
Looked really
are
cool.
scary.
Yeah.
Those things are as scary, if not more scary, than the xenomorphs for me. Those things will come at you fast and shoot those things at you. They're scary.
You know what they reminded me of the aliens or whatever in The Quiet Place, in terms of like looking legitimately scary and just will come at you at 100 miles an hour, like kind of like that. And the CGI for those also.
But in these ones, you can't be quiet. Ain't gonna make no difference.
No, you're just
That's right. You can't hide.
Like even the Queen, like
You
they
can't
did
run or hide.
They did some close-up shots, or not the Queen, of like the female.
Yeah.
And she looked like really good. Like that's where they spent the money. Like the textures looked really good, and she just looked fucking horrifying. So. But yeah, so scary ass aliens, which is always a plus. It took 40 minutes to show them on camera, but whatever. Take your time, movie.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was an interesting story. I thought the plot was interesting. It was an interesting story. A lot of their rules were necessary for the whole, to continue the plot, the direction they wanted to get for the emotional impact of the show. So yeah.
Yeah, so again, so this was okay. It was fine. It was fun. I'll give it that. It was fun. It was entertaining. Again, and I feel like this is just the soapbox that I'm on this episode, is it was too long. Like, it was way too fucking long. There was like 3 parts where I thought the movie was actually ending, and then it just went on for like another half hour. Like every time there was just more movie, which is fine. And you're right. So it did the thing that a time travel movie should do, is that it establishes its rules early, makes them pretty clear, and then it adheres to them, which is fine. Like it did. I had no issue with how they were doing the time travel bit. Chris Pratt was fine, if not a little bit reserved and reeled back, but he was playing like a military dude, so that might have been part of the course.
Yeah. We don't want him to overact, do you?
We don't know. We don't want that either. It's a fine line. It's a fine line. It is a fine line. Don't want to break it open the cheese, sir. But and the girl the actress who plays his daughter, she is in Handmaid's Tale, and she's great. She's fantastic. She was great in this. She's great in that show also. Yeah, no, it was fine. It was a perfectly good story. The action was really good. The time travel bits were really good. What's his
J. Jonah Jameson? I was
just about to say
was buff AF.
He's jacked AF in that movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you see the thing I posted, the meme we posted with him doing freaking bicep curls?
yeah.
That dude's arms are huge.
Well, wasn't that? That's when
they're huge.
That's when he was getting jacked to play Gordon, wasn't it? And he was just sitting there like shaming all of us.
Yeah.
So it was a good movie, good action. It was just, again, I would cut about 20 minutes out of that movie. It was a little too long. I did like when they first get dropped in the future and like people are like hitting buildings and shit like that.
Yeah, I had a problem with that part. So there is a lot of people that were just heading for rooftop swimming pools, and from that height, being perfectly okay.
Yeah, no, you're right.
When they hit the rooftop, the shallow rooftop swimming pools, perfectly okay.
Yeah, so he's dropping from like 50 feet in the air, and then falls 3 feet into water, and it's fine.
I mean, the reality is you lose almost everybody you sent, including most everybody who went into a rooftop swimming pool, because the height they were being dropped from, you're not going to make it.
Right.
So that part was probably maybe one of my bigger plot parts
This is the funny part. So it's like, that is where you're just like, well, that doesn't make sense. But you're watching a movie about like time traveling to fight aliens. You know what I mean? It's just like, but it's funny what you cling to.
If you would have told me they were super resilient and durable or whatever, had superpowers, okay, but you didn't tell me any of that stuff. You told me they're regular people being dropped from way high in the sky. Well, again, accidentally.
It's like anything. So it's like, we'll suspend our disbelief, especially if you give us like a little bit of an explanation to allow us to do that. But then we're still accepting that everything else is adhering to the regular rules of the world, and that was clear nonsense. Yes. But the movie got picked up and got going from there. So yeah, I thought it was fun. I thought it was worth watching. It was a lot of fun. Good action. You can tell where they spent the money in that movie. And Chris Pratt is a good lead. He's entertaining. So good movie. I think you should definitely check it out. But it's not.
Made no sense for him to dive off after his daughter at the end of it when that made absolutely no sense.
That didn't make no.
That's what you can go back and save her and everybody else. Or you can maybe take a chance of diving off.
Just explain to you that even if you go back and change it, that doesn't change this timeline.
Right.
Her and that world are still fucked.
Right. So go back and save the other me. Yeah. And live happily ever after. why are you going to sabotage all of it and then never see your daughter again by trying to jump off after me? I mean, we're both dying. Everybody's dying. We're jumping to our deaths. We're all dying.
You know why though? Because that was a great fucking shot. That was a really good.
I understand.
It was gorgeous.
I
That was
understand.
some Zack Snyder shit.
It was a fun cinematic tool, but it made absolutely no sense.
I will tell you what was great at the end was J.K. Simmons rolling up in that 68 Bullet Mustang. That was fucking sweet.
Yeah.
Just saying. But yeah, check that out. Definitely a good movie. Using the actress who played his daughter as a segue, another thing that I finally finished was A Handmaid's Tale on the Hulus.
Yes.
So season 4 has actually been out for a minute, and the only reason it's taken me so long...
That's a cool way of saying for a while.
What?
Saying it's been out for a minute. Is that the way all the cool kids say?
Cool kids nowadays.
Okay, no.
Or by nowadays, I mean, back in '95. I don't know what they say now. Yeah, it's been out for a minute. It took me a while to watch season 4, which is cool because then it allowed all of it to come out and I just binged it. Because you got to be in a certain mood to watch that show. That is not a happy show. If you know what it's about.
Pretty depressing.
Yeah. So you've seen the whole thing too, right?
Yes, I've seen it all.
So I think you'll agree. Overall, quality is fantastic.
Good show.
It is a great fucking show.
Yep.
Hard to watch. And it's super scary because you watch the show and it really feels like some stuff that could happen in the next decade. Mm-hmm. So explain the plot of the show real quick.
Well,
to people who haven't seen it.
So, a religious faction has taken over the government by force and formed most of the United States is called Gilead.
Right.
And so it's a new kind of country. There's some parts of the United States that are still fighting, and a lot of the citizens of the United States have fled to Canada. So that's the thing. It's very Gilead is very kind of a real overtly very hardcore religious government where women don't have the rights to read or all kinds of things. It's craziness. But the problem is, I think the thing that spurs this whole thing as a dystopian future type movie, and which kind of is maybe fuel for everything that happens, is the earth. Everybody on the earth starts to become infertile, and many women can't can have children, so they start going to crazy in their case extents to try to have population and have offspring. And part of that is they basically find fertile women and turn them into, I don't know, what do you call it, like a baby machine or something, where they're brought into a household and treated as badly as their wives and other women in this society are treated, even worse, because all they're there is to be a tool and a vessel for procreation.
Yeah,
and
think
it's very uncomfortable and horrible.
They're treated kind of like indentured servants were like a few hundred years ago. And so everybody, if you're not a man, basically, you're treated like a piece of shit. Even the wives, they have like more say to a certain extent, but not a whole lot. Like it does a good job of also showing a lot of the bad stuff they go through, which I thought is pretty cool. But like any of the servants, any of the handmaids in particular, like they have their jobs.
The Marthas,
that they do.
The handmaids,
and it does a good job also. And historically, this was the thing of getting other oppressed groups of people, giving them a little bit of power over them, like the ants, and then them just totally buying in and being super abusive and horrible to like the handmaids and everybody that they're supposed to see. But anyway, it is not a fun show. It's terrible. And these women clearly are held there against their will.
Right.
Many of them want to try to escape to like go to Canada. They are like hunted down and chased down, and it is a super uncomfortable show. But damn, it's good in terms of like the production quality, the writing, the acting. Like it's actually like a really, 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 really good show. Like heartbreaking stuff that'll make you cry, it'll make you cheer. It's one of the better shows that's on right now, and it did get renewed for season 5. I do think that it did, yeah. Which I kind of so like I liked season 4, not as strong as 3. Like 3, the rest of the seasons ended really strong, particularly 3.
Right.
4 ended in such a way that
seemed like the end.
It did. It was like, where do you go from here? Because they really kind of wrapped some stuff up. And I also liked, because it shows June, the main character, and some of the other characters, spoilers, like once they get out, like it is this great euphoric moment, like we're out. But then it really shows the aftermath and the psychological trauma and damage that they all have. Like, you're not just going to go get back into society and everything's going to be okay. Like, far from it.
Anybody who goes through a horrible, traumatic experience, especially like this one that goes on for years, you're not the same.
No.
You don't just go, oh, I'm out of it, everything's great. That's not how people work.
No.
So, yeah.
And it doesn't shy away from that. It doesn't shy away from anything. Like, it hits some really rough topics, and it like in your face forces you to see it and deal with it. And in that regard, it's a great show also. So,
can I tell you what I didn't like in season 4?
What didn't you like?
There was a time early on in season 4 where I turned on June. I did not like June.
Okay. What was she doing?
She started winning me back towards the end because I started having some sympathy and all the feelings for a person that you do. It's been going through some stuff, but this is where she started to lose me. When they're on the rooftop and there's the 2 Marthas there that are getting ready to be pushed off the roof. Mm-hmm. And then one of them does get pushed off the roof. And all they want is the information. What information they want to know?
Where the
rest where the other handmaids that had escaped were. This is my feelings about that. If you're keeping that information is enough for somebody to die for,
I know where you're going with this.
You should be willing to die for it yourself. It's not that other people can die as long as you can live. And here's the deal. I know they were holding her daughter against her and threatening to do bad, possible bad things could happen to her daughter. Here's the deal. If protecting the location of those handmaids is important enough that these Marthas should die for it, this is what I think. She would have won me over if she would have tried to jump off the roof herself in between the two Marthas. And after the first one got pushed off, if she would have run it's part of the story, the plot, and tried to jump off herself, because they can't hold her daughter against her if she's killed herself, right? Mm-hmm. And protecting those other handmaids is obviously important enough for people to die, because she was fully okay for the Marthas to die to try to protect the secret. So that, for her to say, okay, I guess they can both die as long as I don't die, and then my daughter's safe, because the tool of the daughter goes away if she, right, and of course the story, she can't die there, but if she would have tried to show that she was willing to do that, she would have stayed with the hero status like I had for her. Right. But geez, that was a tough one for me to try to get over for her character.
I agree with you. The point I'll make, though, is that she didn't know they had her daughter at that point. Like, she hadn't seen her daughter yet. I mean, she knows that, like, she's out there.
They had made statements. They had made statements,
right, but they didn't physically show it to her yet. But so I agree with you in that. Okay, I'm fine with her letting them die, because it's showing that, she was willing to have bodily torture and all that to keep the secret. But, she's a good person.
And then she rats everybody out.
But hang on, so
when her daughter gets put into the
and they don't even actually do anything to her daughter. They just show it to her. It's very nuanced.
She rats
and then she
them
narcs.
out. And I'll tell you, that scenario right there,
so to me, I agree with you. I would have been fine with that, because letting the Marthas die, again, if protecting the handmaids is that important, you're willing to let yourself die, you're willing to let yourself get tortured. And they were willing to do it. Like, the one chick, before she got pushed up, said, don't tell them anything. You know what I mean? Right. So, like, and that's even harder if you care about these. So I'm still on board with this. The thing that would have kept her the hero in my mind is if she saw her daughter and then turned and told them to go fuck themselves and still didn't say anything.
No, totally agree.
Then I still would have been, you're right. But she did lose it.
It was that combination to let them die, to keep the secret, and then to spill the beans when it affects you personally.
Well, then it was.
tough one
Well,
for
then
me.
that was impactful then, because then when the handmaid friend with the one eye asked her later, she's like, "Did you tell them where we were?" Like nobody else knew where we were.
Yeah.
You know, and it was really shocking too that like the two that died getting hit by the train, like that had been around for the whole series. Like I was like, what? Like I was genuinely shocked. I didn't think they were dead, and then they were dead. So, no, I agree with you. And then she does redeem herself a bit later.
Yeah.
But you're right. You do lose some empathy for her.
Yeah, I mean, for the whole season
hard.
before that, I'm rooting for her 100%. She's a hero. She's Mayday. She's the leader of everything. She's trying to get everything done, helping people escape. 100% behind her.
But to play
That plot point right there.
But to play
tough
devil's
for me.
advocate, the thing that's driving her this entire time is trying to get her daughter out. The reason she didn't leave when she got the kids out was to try to get her daughter out. So you could.
But hey, Captain Mal, every other person has a story of their own.
I don't disagree.
They
with
have children. They have lives.
I agree.
They have things that they could live for. So the fact that you're
She's also a
the most
person,
important person in the world. But here's
But wouldn't the so picking
here's
between
the
your
thing.
kids, if it were you and it was your kids versus people that were just in this situation with you, it's a harder decision if it's your kid, right? That's being threatened. And so she made a selfish choice, but she's a person. Like she's gonna make selfish choices. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just being devil's advocate.
Yeah,
for
no,
the sake of a conversation.
I hear, but the thing is, everybody else has a story in a life too.
Mm-hmm.
So yours can't be more important. You can't be willing to sacrifice everybody but yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I know she had made some time. So you know, in that plot point of trying to get to her daughter, had given up chances to escape. And you can see that as a sacrifice with a goal, you know, in mind. But I'm just saying, if her daughter would be fine. I mean, her daughter's still in Gilead now, right? Mm-hmm. Her daughter's life would not have changed a bit if she was willing for the plot point of keeping her as a hero to die to keep the secret of the escaped handmaids and keep them safe, because they're people too. Everybody's people, right?
But then there's no show, bro. There's no show then.
But here's the thing. It's about strengthening the character, okay? It's about making the character. So if she would have tried,
so the second
and the
chick
people
was-
caught her.
so
she's
she
running for the roof
tackles the
herself.
chick,
I'm telling you, no.
and then they catch her.
Yeah, and they catch her.
So she still
but
did
she
it.
was making the attempt to make the same sacrifice as everybody else,
Right.
because that secret was that important. That's what I'm saying. It was the fact that she was not willing to do any of that,
Right.
and then rat people out when it affected her personally.
Well, and also,
That's-
like, again, they didn't really even do anything to her kid. It was the thing that broke her was her kid being scared of her. Mm-hmm. So, no, I don't disagree with you, but that was part of the reason this season wasn't as strong. And then for like once she got out, which was about the halfway point, a lot of the tension's gone.
Right.
That she's not there, and you can't ride that forever. I get it, but some of the times the show was at its most tense was when she was in the house being the handmaid, and it's the same thing as like it's a vastly different show. But like Spartacus, follow me here, was kind of at its best when they were in the house of Batiatus as slaves and they were having to manage the inner workings of like all of that shit. You know what I mean? Once they got out, like really not as entertaining anymore.
Right.
You know, and same thing, like she's out now. And so there's not this constant tension of I'm going to be murdered all the time. So yeah, still a good show though. Still definitely worth watching.
Very good show.
Very,
I mean, it's a
very
really
good show. Yes.
Yeah.
So check that out. Okay. Let's keep talking about family. I saw Fast 9.
Oh, you did?
I did.
How was it? I didn't.
So here's a fun fact you guys might not know. Weapon 2 has not seen any Fast and Furious movies. Like none whatsoever.
Probably seen parts of a couple. I've never sat down and watched one all the way through.
So let us know, because the one thing
Except for maybe, no, I don't even think I did. I thought I was Hobbs and Shaw. Was that the one?
That's a spinoff.
That's a spinoff?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I did watch that one all the way through.
Okay.
But you're right. I haven't watched any of the the Fast or the Furious or the Tokyo Drifting or any of that stuff.
So I've often thought what would be a fun series to do is like Weapon 2 watches and like make him watch every single Fast and Furious movie. Also, he's never seen any of the Twilight movies, and I envy him for that. But like making him watch all of those just to see what he thinks about them. So if those are ideas that you guys would like us to do, I will happily subject him to this. Actually, Fast and Furious, most of these movies are actually pretty fun. And yeah, they're all about the family, which ironically, I don't know if you know this, in this movie, the big surprise is that John Cena is Dom's little brother, is Vin Diesel's little brother, which is hilarious because
all of a sudden
8 movies fucking never mention him, and all he does is talk about family. But the best meme in the history of the world was that John Cena was in all 8 Fast and Furious movies. You just couldn't see it. so simple, but so good. Yeah, it's exactly what you think it would be. It's a Fast and Furious movie. So it just big, dumb, ridiculous, over the top action. I will say a couple things though. One, this movie starts to get kind of self-aware of the fact that it's big, dumb, ridiculous, over-the-top action, in that some of the characters, Tyrese Gibson's character, starts noting the fact that he thinks they're invincible because they go through all this crazy wild shit and like never get shot or anything like that. So it's kind of...
Does he say, I think we have superpowers?
Almost. Like he's basically going there. And so that's funny. But then, like, there's way too much, like, flashbacks to a young Toretto, and we see the dad die, and what the brother had to do. Did
he have hair?
He didn't have. He had very short hair.
Oh, short hair. Okay.
Yeah.
Was it a different actor, or was it?
It was a different actor. It was supposed to be like young him, and by young him, it had to be clearly like early 20s. Yeah. And the brother was slightly younger, but like way shorter and skinny. So the brother who played the younger brother is the dude who plays. In Peaky Blinders, what's the woman's name? The aunt? What is her name? Fuck. She's a real badass chick. She's super cool. She's always there. Mm-hmm. Remember her son that she was estranged from, and then like he got brought in?
The little short guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That guy. So that guy plays young John Cena. And now again, the events of this, when like the dad died and all that kind of shit, that wasn't that long before the first movie. Oh. So then the first movie, Vin Diesel looks like Vin Diesel, and like that guy's supposed to be young Vin Diesel, and like you can kind of see it, like the stretch, he kind of looks like him, but it's literally this other dude who's playing young John Cena is just like this skinny white dude in like a wife beater, and you're like, cool. So in between that and this movie, he grows 2.5 feet and puts on like 180 pounds of muscle and becomes John Cena. It's like, it just makes no fucking sense. And like there's one great line where he attacks them in the beginning of the movie, and Michelle Rodriguez sees him, and she's like, that was Jacob, wasn't it? And it's like, whoa, last time you saw him, he looked like this. Now he looks like fucking John Cena. Those are clearly 2 different people. You can go fuck yourself. Like, you do not recognize him. Like, there's no fucking way you're like, oh, that was Jacob if he took all of the steroids. Just all of the steroids. Was he wearing lifts? He looks a lot taller. Anyway, fine.
Well, that was her superpower.
Jesus. But just ridiculous shit. Like this is in the trailer, but like they're driving around on this island, and like there's a shit ton of like ocean, and then like another island, and there's this piece of shit like rope bridge, and the bridge gets destroyed.
Oh yeah.
And Dominic fucking just drives a Charger off the side of it and like hooks a rope onto the tire and just like fucking Spider-Mans it around.
Hell yeah.
And it just
he did. He did that.
And like that's the movie opening, and you're just like, all right, nice. Well, so I went with my girlfriend and we started playing a drinking game because you could drink in this movie theater, and we were just like, all right, so every time the movie says fuck you to physics, take a drink. Every time Toretto says family, take a drink. Every time Tyrese Gibson screams, take a drink. And like literally, so and it was fucking a half hour in, we were pretty smashed, but it was a fun drinking game. So no, it's big, dumb, over the top action, which is great. My issue is, again, the melodrama that it did with the dad and the trying to insert this drama between Vin Diesel and John Cena was way fucking forced, and like way too much of the movie revolved around. Like the movie slows down when it has to keep hitting this shit home, and it's like, dude, I get it. All right, like fuck, can we move on? And then it just it took forever to get going, but it got going, and it was big, dumb action and fun. If I was ranking it, it would be toward the bottom, though, of like the Fast and Furious movies for me. Like, it wasn't as good of a lot of them, but they are usually better than they have any right to be. And if you can just turn your brain off and like take it out of your head, put it to the side, grab some popcorn, and just enjoy the ridiculous, they're usually pretty good movies.
Okay.
So if you could do that, they're fine. This one was okay. I'm sad to hear, though. You know what you definitely missed, though, in this movie? You missed The Rock, because The Rock is fucking awesome in these movies. And he's not going to come back for any of the other ones.
The Rock's awesome in every movie.
That's the thing. And so, he has beef with Vin Diesel, and so he's not going to be in the last two. And so that kind of sucks. But
well, so I guess we'll just have to watch some other movies with The Rock in them.
I mean, yeah, because there's lots of other Rock movies. Not so many other Vin Diesel movies, though. Huh.
Yeah.
But
I hear you.
Not bad. I want to make Weapon 2 watch these. So, yeah, tell us that you guys want to see that too. That'll be a lot of fun. Let's make a watch Twilight also. God, I want to see that happen. So, okay, let's do it. Let's get into the Marvels. Do you want to talk about Loki first or Black Widow?
Hey, whichever. Toss a coin.
For your Witcher. Let's talk about Black Widow real quick, because I feel like that's an easier kind of thing to skim over. Did you like it? Was it good? What'd you think?
I liked it a lot. I saw some people.
Spoiler alert for both of these, by the way.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I've heard people say that they didn't really like it. I liked it. I thought it was good. What did you think?
I liked it. I loved it. I want some more. I feel like part of me watched this movie with rose-colored glasses because that kind of says enough how fucking excited I was to be watching a Marvel movie in theaters.
I didn't go see it in theaters. I watched it at my house today, bro.
So watching it at your house is probably just as good.
But I love going to the movie theaters. I have not gone to a movie theater since they opened up again, though. But I missed that.
What's the next big one coming out? Let's go watch the next big one, whatever it is. We should all get some nerds together and all go watch it. So aside from that though, I was just jonesing for.
I just live so far away from movie theaters now, man.
You do actually. It's okay.
It's a little bit more of a drive.
You'll have to migrate down to my neck of the woods. Yeah. But I really, really liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. It was a pretty by-the-numbers Marvel movie. Yeah. But that was okay. That's kind of exactly what I was in for. It's what I thought it would be. And it was fine. It was fun. So Scarlett Johansson has got Natasha Romanoff fucking down. Mm-hmm. She was fantastic in the movie. Yep. But much like Chadwick Boseman in Black Panther, although he was good, kind of the least interesting part of his movie, ScarJo was not the best part of this movie by a mile.
No, there's a lot of good characters.
Who stole the fucking show, and I think this is the internet consensus? Her sister. Can't remember the character's name or the actress's name, but she's good in a lot of stuff. I think it's
Yelena?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
So that actress is actually in a couple of other things that I've seen. She's been good in those too, but she is brilliant in this.
She had a lot of good funny lines.
Almost
every time when she's like trying to make fun of her poses and stuff like that.
Like, there's a lot of funny stuff. That thing with the arm.
Where you keep letting your hair.
Posing. It's like everyone's gonna look at you.
You're a poser.
You're a total poser.
You're a poser.
And then that's just like the running joke. And apparently I read a thing that the actress was actually making fun of Scarlett Johansson on set for doing that, and that was like her just little bit making fun of her because they became like super good friends during the filming of this movie, and it was just so good they just fucking put it in the movie.
Of course they did.
And like it's just a recurring joke that happens throughout the movie, which is fucking great. The thing with the vest too, I thought was funny.
That was funny.
That was like when they actually
pockets. You could put a lot of stuff in there,
like a big sister little sister dynamic, where she's like, "Dude, it's my vest. You like my vest?" And she's like, "Whatever, it's a vest." And she gets all sad. She's like, "I like your vest." She's like, I knew it, right? It's so cool. You can put so many things in the pockets you don't even know. And so her delivery is so brilliant. But then Scarlett Johansson, it's subtle, but she's doing that like laughing thing. Like, yes, I do. I like your vest. Like, it's so cute. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like their dynamic. It felt like a big and little sister, especially how like she just mocks her the entire time, talks all this shit. But she has like some of the best lines throughout the entire movie.
Nothing more powerful than family.
Yes, right. Yeah, I did see Dominic Toretto in the background. Yeah. But even like the serious stuff where like Scarlett Johansson snapping at the family and be like, "We weren't a real family," and she's like, "Don't say that. Like, please don't say that. Like, it was real to me. Like, she brings it. Like, she actually really, and like you get teary. You're like, shits. Like, it was."
Because she was the only one who wasn't in. She wasn't in on the know about what was going on with the Russian spy family.
And then at the end, when Natasha tells her that it was real for her too, like that's a real moment. Like it's a real moment that actually.
Because you could tell when they were little girls, you could tell. You could see the way she tries to defend her when they go back to Russia. Yeah, it was real to her. She just hadn't said it yet.
And that was great. And so that was really good. And your boy Red Guardian, God, he was so funny.
That was the best. Good. I loved the Red Guardian in that. That was a good, funny, fun character. And I'll tell you what, I'm so happy they did the Red Guardian that way. Because, in 616, in the comic books, he doesn't have superpowers,
Right.
and I think he's like actually Natasha's like husband or boyfriend or something. So the fact that he was a father figure, and he had superpowers, which I thought was cool. He was a super soldier. I thought that was cool for the story and fun that he had superpowers. Just the way he from the time they went to the prison to get him to throughout the rest of the movie, he was hilarious. Yeah, he's a good character.
He's really good. He had a lot of great lines too. He was like, "You go toilet in my ass." Stop talking. Just stop fucking talking. So yeah, there's so many good. Like it's a lot of fun. But my only issue with him is nothing about the character or his portrayal. He was great. It's just like he never got like his moment to shine. Because you think he's gonna get it at the end fighting Taskmaster, and then he just kind of gets his ass kicked, and Rachel Weisz saves him. And there's no real big.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure about this. Was Taskmaster a super soldier?
So this is what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you because she's doing some super soldier shit.
Taskmaster in the comic book isn't superpowers,
and it's not a girl either, right?
No, it's a dude, and he doesn't have like a computer chip or anything.
He just memorizes.
His superpower is just being able to mimic anything that happens and take on anybody's fighting abilities, but he doesn't have superpowers. The fact that he was kicking a super soldier's ass,
the way she handled Natasha in the first fight, like clearly superhuman. So like that's where they didn't explain, and they did say
I didn't know that, but I was asking myself through that thing. I was going, so they should have explained.
I would have been fine with them either being like she's a super soldier or that armor enhanced her. Like that would have been fine too. But they don't go that way, because at first, before that reveal happens, which I was okay with, like it was fine. A lot of people were mad about that too.
Which part?
About Taskmaster being dude's daughter.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing.
It's fine for the movie.
This is Earth 199999. Okay, so this is the MCU.
We're a multiverse now, baby.
So the rules of the comic books aren't the same in the MCU. They're going
Taskmaster's out there somewhere.
So
for all three of you diehard Taskmaster fans.
So people get really. And I'm not different. There's times where I'll look at what they brought in as a character, and I'll go, "Oh, geez, that's not like the comic book." And then I have to remind myself, this is not the 616. This is a different universe. And so in this universe, these are the characters, and you got to be able to accept it and stop whining and crying. There's a difference between I don't like this because I don't think it was a good tool or character for the story, and I don't like it because it's not the same as a comic.
Exactly. And this worked in the fucking narrative of the movie. Also, I would have been fine with it being a robot. Because again, they show the heads-up display and all that, and how it was like watching the fights and mimicking. Like that would have worked for me also. Yeah. But give me because if it's just another widow in a suit, why was she hanging with the super soldier? Why was she owning Natasha? You know what I mean? Like Also, there's a cool story in here about oppressing women. You know what I mean? And like them getting empowered and fighting back and all that kind of stuff. So like that was cool. That was in there too. It did get a little ridiculous over the top with the flying fucking space station, whatever the hell it was, and that blowing up and like them all falling and shit like that, but nothing over the top to where
you haven't seen a giant base in the sky that crashed and started falling out of the sky before?
Like
you haven't seen that in
every third Marvel movie. No, but I'm just saying, like it never took me out of it. It was never ridiculous, took me out of it, but it was just, that was the thing. And like Natasha clearly should have died like 3 times in this movie, like for not being a superhuman. Like when she fell off the building, dude, like. Yeah, she was fucked up. But anyway, and I did like there's little things, little bits of dialogue were really good. Where like the sister's like, it's right there in the name, the Avengers. Like he kills you, and then they send one of the big ones to take them out. And she's like, wait, which one of the big ones? She's like, well, I doubt the god from space has to take an ibuprofen after a fight. You know what I mean? Like I love little shit like that. It's just like really cool. So I don't know what the fuck people were expecting. I feel like any hate this movie's getting. Whatever, you're allowed to have your opinion, and I'm not going to say you're wrong. I just adamantly disagree with you because I had a great time.
I thought it was a really good movie.
I don't know what you were expecting.
I mean,
this is exactly what I was expecting.
I'm not going to say it's the best Marvel movie, but I'm going to tell you it was a really good movie. It was what I expected. I expected this type of a movie.
Actually, it was better than what I expected because I wasn't expecting it to be so funny with two great performances from Red Guardian and the sister.
Yep.
And the end credit scene too, how it ties in. And how it's probably going to tie into Hawkeye and all that. And I'm on board for the sister being a recurring character moving forward, 1,000%.
I think what they're building is, the Dark Avengers or whatever with this. And so, or maybe they're trying to get into the Thunderbolts. I don't know. They're building some other team with this whole background stuff. So
speaking of, I love Thunderbolt Ross. I love him just that he keeps showing up. Like in terms of a little bit of continuity for stuff. And so that's another thing with this movie. Fits perfectly between the events of Civil War and Infinity War. Like you could watch if you're doing a chronological order watch of these movies, it fits perfectly there. It doesn't feel like contrived or like it's trying to be forced into a space or whatever. It's almost like this movie should have came out 4 years ago.
Yes,
Disney.
You're right. Yeah,
but unfortunately, Disney had some sexist people at the top that didn't want to do it. But that said, we got it now. And aside from the post-credit scene, like you could show this to somebody in viewing order and it would fit completely fine.
Right.
But
you know what? I thought I was hoping that was going to happen. That didn't happen. That I think almost might have happened in this movie. So one of my favorite characters in the Winter Guard, but when I was a kid, it was the Soviet super soldiers or whatever they were called. I can't even remember anymore. Was Ursa Major, who's the big, I think he's a mutant that turns into a grizzly bear.
Oh, yeah.
And he called that guy in the prison that he broke his arm, that big, huge guy, a bear.
Ooh.
And I was like, was that Ursa Major there? And why didn't he turn into a bear? No. So, anyways, that's just when I like a lot of these side characters that a lot of people aren't into. When I was in the comic books, I like Wonder Man and Tigra and a lot of these side characters. And Ursa Major, I thought he was a cool character, and I like Alpha Flight. You know,
you love the
just
Alpha
these
Flights,
these side groups.
But you know what, man? The deeper the MCU goes, the more we're going to get characters like that. I mean, did you ever think you'd get a movie with Red Guardian 10 years ago?
Hell no.
No.
Yeah, and we're going to be getting a Moon Knight and She-Hulk. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
These episodes are going to be great.
Definitely looking forward to the future of the MCU. And again, I can't emphasize this enough how good the sister was in that movie. Like, everything, every line
I completely agree
out of her mouth was gold. Like, when she almost crashes the helicopter in the prison break, she's like, Scarlett Johansson's like, what the hell are you doing?
We're doing,
like, we all do really good job.
We're doing a really
She's like, we both do really good job.
Yeah.
Or she sees the avalanche, she's like, oh, this would be a cool way to die.
Or when she's on the table, they're getting ready to cut her head open. She goes,
much less cool way to die.
Not a good way to die. Yeah. No, she was good.
God, that was good. All right, so yeah, check out Black Widow, but go in with like realistic expectations. Like it's just kind of a by the numbers Marvel movie that is really fun. It's fun, man. Like just enjoy it. Damn. All right, Loki.
Lots of action.
Yes, lots of action.
Things going.
Good
down.
action and like really good hand to hand too. Like this side of like the Winter Soldier. Some of the best like hand-to-hand combat and like knife fighting and stuff like that. It was really quite good. So
a little weird when they both simultaneously snatch each other's gun out of their hand, but I mean, other than that,
well, I think that was cheesy.
Take your gun. Okay, you want mine?
Hey, you know what? You said you gotta like the cheese, man.
I hear
That's
ya.
in there. That's some sharp
you.
cheddar. It's good though. All right, Loki. So Loki happened on the Disney Pluses. And holy crap, talk about ramifications for the Marvel multiverse moving forward. First of all, can we just agree? Fantastic show. Like,
yes.
Like Jesus. But go ahead. I feel like you got a lot to say, so just throw it out there.
I don't know. I'm just saying this has huge ramifications for the MCU as a whole. This being out is the open ticket to
whatever you want.
Include every other old Spider-Man movie into the universe as a different timeline. Any character or any character in the as a Marvel character that's ever existed in any form or fashion can be part of the MCU now as an alternate timeline.
Kind of like what DC accidentally did with the Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah.
It's like all of our properties are a thing. This can definitely be that. They could do whatever they, and like this also opens the door to like bringing back, not that I'm not saying you should, but if you brought back a Chris Evans or a Robert Downey Jr. to play alternate versions of themselves, but without cheapening them leaving or anything, like it would feel freaking amazing. You know what I mean? Like this is their way to do that. This is their way to do whatever they want.
It's the way to do one-offs too.
Yep.
I mean, you can do one-off movies too, where you can say this is a movie. It's a movie about an alternate timeline, and that's it. Don't worry about it in regard to the rest of the main universe. Also, it's kind of a way to bring out the eraser if you make a movie that you don't like or something like that. You can say, "Oh yeah, that one didn't do very well at the box office. It's because it's a different timeline. We're not going to worry about it anymore. Forget about that."
Lol. So let's talk about the show, though, before we get more into the multiverse stuff. Tom Hiddleston, amazing. His portrayal of Loki, I feel like, is up there now with an RDJ Iron Man in terms of definitive actor and character combos. You know what I mean? Like, just brilliance. The show's tone and how it felt was exactly... the same way like WandaVision had a very unique feel, you know what I mean? Like this had a very Loki unique feel. Everything with the TVA was great. Owen Wilson was fantastic. And like I loved in the first episode the holy shit moment of like him opening the drawer and seeing all the Infinity Stones. Right. And just being like, oh shit, like all of that's nothing compared to like what this is. You know what I mean? What did you think of, what was her name? Sylvie?
Yeah.
So what did you think of her and that her being a Loki variant and like the relationship between them and all that?
So I mean, they obviously tried to merge a couple characters. They tried to merge the Enchantress.
I thought she was Enchantress at first.
Yeah. I mean, well, they were selling that really hard. Using the word enchantment and all this stuff.
And she's blonde.
Yeah.
And,
So they are obviously trying to put in Enchantress into this.
She did feel like a combo of both of them, though. Because
female Loki made there's what's her name? I can't remember her name. The Enchantress character that was from the new Asgard on Earth. Mm-hmm. Female Loki gave her powers as the Enchantress. Mm-hmm. So I think that's kind of the way they kind of merged that all together. And I like the character just fine. There's a lot of people who were freaked out and just couldn't stand the fact that it looked like they had a touch of romance there.
Not a touch, to be fair. Yeah. They pushed that pretty hard.
Yeah, but here's the deal.
What were they calling it?
I don't
Self-cess?
Yeah, I don't know what I don't know what the hang up was with that. It was really a version of the same person.
First of all, people like metaphor, man. Yeah. Like, so the only Loki, this whole show was himself. Learning to love himself.
Exactly.
So he was doing it quite literally.
Right.
And you know, and Owen Wilson like even calls him out on it. Like, how much of a fucking narcissist are you that you're falling over the show? I'm just saying, if I met an alternate version of Cap Mal over there that was this good looking girl, I love me now. I couldn't imagine.
Right. Oh, we all know.
Right? I couldn't imagine a female version of me. So like I get and I love that like some people are like up in arms on the internet about self-sets. And I'm like, how are you mad at a thing that's not real? Like there's no way for that to be a real thing. Why are you mad about it?
Yeah, I mean, and it's not like it's like his sister or something like that. It's himself. It's basically a version of himself is who it is.
We all got over the twin cest in Game of Thrones. Like, give us the chance. But the metaphor is he's learning to love, and this is exactly what I wanted also, in that, you know, this is Avengers 1 Loki, right? So he didn't have all that character development, but he got what you could argue is more character development than that throughout the course of this show. Like more organic, we get to see more of it, and it feels earned. And yeah, he learns to love himself. He has some really great moments of like clarity and revelations and shit, and how he sees himself and like why he does the things that he does. And again, yeah, sure, maybe it's a little on the nose, but we also got like a new cool character out of it. So like, I don't see what the problem is, other than they leaned into it pretty hard right away. But whatever, it was fine for me.
Yeah, I mean, I like the whole show from the start, the beginning through all this. experiencing this whole TVA bureaucracy and all the steps people go through when they become a variant, to trying to figure out, well, what is the TVA, the whole thing, who's behind it and everything. For me, the best episode was when all the Lokis, when they go to the void or whatever it's called, and all the Lokis are there, and all the Loki interactions I loved. I thought that was great.
Yeah, classic Loki stole that episode. He was
hell yeah,
fucking amazing in that.
Finally finds his glorious purpose.
Yes,
like a boss, like a champ. Yeah.
And again, metaphors like, dude, I think we're like, what do you say, like more powerful than we think we are, more capable than we think we are, like something like that.
Well,
right?
I mean, and his story is he basically just ran off and hid for a long time. In fact, nobody came looking for him. He never became a variant until he decided, I'm kind of lonely. I think I'll just venture back out. And they said, nope. And so he's had a whole life of just like really nothing.
Right.
So for him to be the hero like that was awesome.
My only question is, okay, so you have, what do they call the little sticks that send you there that we thought killed you at first?
I don't know, whatever they prune them with.
They prune them, pruning sticks.
Pruners or whatever.
So instead of just killing you, they're going to essentially transport you to the void to allow the big dragon monster thing. What's that called? Goliath to kill. What was the point of that exactly? Because it seems very not efficient to do it that way.
Well,
I mean, the obvious answer is for the show to happen, but
yeah, I think that for reasons.
The best answer ever.
It's just what happens. You have to go somewhere. I mean, it's a lot more interesting than just disintegrating into nothing, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, obvious.
So it's it's super interesting to go to this world where there's this big monster that just feeds on you. I mean, and all this stuff feeds into the whole Kang the Conqueror storyline.
So let's talk about
because Goliath was a creature that Kang, when there was like a council of Kangs or whatever it is, I can't remember in the comic books. There's a whole council of Kangs, and he kind of, I can't remember exactly how he did it, but he got Goliath, who is this other creature, to kill all the other Kangs. Mm-hmm. So he was so that's how Goliath played into the comic book thing. So he's just this creature who's supposed to just eat you and send you into like nothing.
So let's explain for the kids at home who in the comics Kang the Conqueror is, and how you think He Who Remains is going to tie into that, and what that might mean for the future of the MCU. Which, by the way, I don't know if you guys have ever read the Dresden Files, but that kind of name is one for what are called outsiders, beings that exist outside our reality, like He Who Walks Behind and so much. So when he's like, I am He Who Remains, I was like, you're a fucking outsider. Rah, where's Harry Dresden when we need him? Anyway, go ahead.
So Kang the Conqueror is the most prolific time-traveling character of forever, and he is from the future. He's not from our time or anything we've seen so far. He came from the future, time traveling. He went back all the way to the days of the pharaohs and
ancient Egypt,
and became Rama Tut or whatever.
Tutankhamun?
Yeah.
King Tut?
Yeah, no, he got a different name. He became a pharaoh. He's like this guy. He's the guy who, and then he left the mantle to Apocalypse when he left. So he was there. He was in charge. He was running all that stuff. He has been tons of different characters. Who he really is his name's Nathaniel Reed, and he's believed to be both a descendant of Reed Richards, and I think that Dr. Doom thought that he was one of his descendants at one time in the comic books. So that's who he was originally. But he's been basically Iron Man before. He's Iron Lad in the Young Avengers. There's in different realities and different. He's been a whole council of kings who got wiped out, and I think in the Loki series, what happens is he's the one that remains, kind of this guy who's trying to keep order with the timeline and not really like a bad guy or anything. Right. He's just kind of a administrator.
Well, so his go ahead.
But when they kill him,
yeah,
and then of course Loki goes back and nobody knows who he is, and he sees the statue of Kang. I think that is a bad version. We're going to find out an evil version of type of a.
Well, he even says
a dictator type person.
If you think I'm bad, wait till you see some of my variants.
Yeah.
So I think
that's what happened.
His explanation is pretty cool. He talks about how he is a scientist and discovered the fucking multiple timelines, but essentially the multiverse.
Right.
And again, other versions of him discover this too, and there's lots of communication and sharing of wealth and knowledge, and then inevitably what always happens is power-hungry people start fighting for more power, and so he's the one that remains in terms of the one who's in control of keeping everything one solid timeline. And the second Sylvie kills him, chaos.
And I think in that version, it's probably going to be the one where Alioth or somehow all the other Kangs were killed,
right,
and he's the only one left.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's great because when she kills him, you see on the screen they're watching Owen Wilson and that other agent, all the branches of all the timelines. And it's all just going crazy. And I love how they're just like for all time, always, because they did what they meant to do. They're burning down the TVA, and it's just descended into, wait for it, madness.
A multiverse of madness? Yes. Yes. That's
Dr.
exactly
Strange
what it's going to be.
Has some freaking work to do. So,
and Kang's supposed to be in the new Spider-Man movie too, so I think you're going to see a lot of this.
Yeah,
he's going to be in his. From what I've seen, it looks like he's going to be in his whole classic armor.
Nice. So that's going to be dope, and I think we had confirmation that Tom Hiddleston is going to be in the Multiverse of Madness, alongside Scarlet Witch.
There'll be a lot of characters,
and obviously Benedict Cumberbatch, and so
Beta Ray Bill.
Dude, like, I can't emphasize enough how down I am for a multiverse, how down I am for Multiverse Madness, and for the new Spider-Man movie, and all. Just give me all of it, because this is kind of an aspect of these movies that has been missing, right? So if you're a comic book fan, whether it's Marvel or DC, multiverse is a thing, right? Mm-hmm. They're intertwined. There's multiple versions of characters that often working together and like fighting big, multi-series spanning events happen, right?
Yeah.
All the time. And I get it, like, to the uninitiated, you can't just lead with that, right? You have to establish a proper timeline and characters we all know and basically lore and all that, right? But we're finally at a point that I never thought we would get to in the movies where we're going to do it. We're going to do multiverse shit. Mm-hmm. And I am so on board with that. Because, again, it leads to exciting, new, and different versions of the characters we like. Also could open the door to Miles Morales as Spider-Man, which is something a lot of people would like.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's the same reason they introduced it in the comic books. I mean, you had these straightforward stories about characters, and they decided we just want to open new avenues of storytelling
without having to adhere established canon and all that, and just
multiverse,
kind of do something different.
Yeah.
And again, this now opens the door to X-Men and the Fantastic Four and all kinds of, like, it doesn't have to fit within the narrative of the MCU now. It could be a separate thing. Mm-hmm. So to say that, honestly, real talk, this is probably the single most impactful, most important event that has happened in the MCU.
Yeah.
Since
it's going to have the biggest impact in everything they do from here point.
That set up the next 10 years of the MCU.
Yeah.
This is the next thing. This is the next, like, and a lot of people were giving, we saw the Eternals trailer, and like the narrative in that trailer was, we watched, we waited, we didn't interfere until now. And people are like, where the fuck were you? Like, Thanos wasn't enough interference. Like, no, maybe they were talking about this. Mm-hmm. Maybe they were talking about this being the thing that they can't sit back and let happen anymore. Right. You know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden, the ramifications of this are massive, and it's dope. I'm excited. Mm-hmm. So, aside from trying to talk about future MCU, Loki best Disney Plus Marvel show so far.
Yep.
Like kind of easily. Like it is not that I loved WandaVision, and I thought we talked about Falcon and Winter Soldier. We thought it was good.
Right.
This was like holy crap good. Like there was one episode that I thought kind of like slowed down a little bit when they were stuck on the planet.
We'll start with L.
That was the apocalypse planet, and not that was even bad or unwatchable or anything. It just kind of slowed down. But aside from that, it moved, and I was like genuine intrigue every single week to watch it. Like when I remembered that it was like on or like it had aired or whatever, I was like genuine excitement. Like again, like the format of a weekly release. As opposed to a binge watch, and especially with something like this with like information that is so important and impactful, you couldn't release this all away and then have somebody watch it in a day and then spoil it for everybody. You know what I mean? Like doing it one at a time, I think totally worked. So yeah, if you haven't watched Loki, I don't know why you're listening to this because we just ruined the whole thing. But watch Loki. It was amazing.
I love waiting week to week for these shows. I love it.
Reminds me when I was young.
Yeah,
I had my whole life ahead of me. Anyway, so anything else you gotta say about the Lokis?
No, it's just an awesome show. If you haven't watched it, I don't know why you haven't, but you should.
So, yeah, great show. All right, Weapon 2. What else do we got going on?
I'm gonna sever my vein on my head.
That was stupid. You gotta sever the nerve. That was dumb.
Yeah.
Pheromones? Hold your breath. That's the way that. Oh no, you gotta sever the nerve. I'd be like, do you? Like, I'm not a fucking scientist, but I'm pretty sure that's not the way that works.
Yeah, but anyways.
Also, then she pops her nose back and it's just perfect. Still.
Of course.
I mean, it is Scarlett Johansson, so fine. But like, come on, get out of here.
Are we talking about the giveaway? Is that where we're at now?
Sure.
Okay.
Talk about that.
Well, someday maybe.
Maybe. Fingers
if
crossed.
we ever get to 300 subscribers, we're gonna pack another box of awesome prizes to give away to somebody.
Of goodness.
Yeah, it's gonna have original drawing by me of your favorite character. Funko Pop. Gonna have a shirt with a logo of TWG. Got 4 logo options to choose from. What else? All kinds of comic books. We'll throw some comic books in there. We'll throw in some other interesting things, doodads, and items of enjoyment to throw in there, and then we'll mail it to you. But what we need you to do is, if you want to have an opportunity to have one of these boxes, is you got to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You need to comment on the most recent episode with your name, so we know when we do a drawing who we're giving away to, and then we're going to contact you, and you're going to tell us what size shirt you're wearing, all your favorite character, all those good things. So. Also tell your friends to subscribe, and they can have the opportunity to also get a prize and all that fun stuff, folks. I don't know why you wouldn't. Free fun stuff for doing nothing but subscribing to our awesome YouTube channel. Sounds like a good deal to me.
Sounds like a great deal to me.
Yeah.
Also, we have an Instagram where we post daily original memes. Well, actually, he posts daily original memes. I'm not going to take credit for that. You're killing it, sir. Thank you very much.
I haven't been doing it every day lately. I need to get back on it.
You're posting a lot,
I'm doing the best I can. Sometimes when all the shows slow down, and I hadn't seen Black Widow until now.
You can't really make memes of stuff you haven't seen yet.
I haven't been doing it, but I'm going to get back on it.
That, and we got the Facebooks. We have twg.net, where you can go. It's our website. You can go check out episodes of our podcast. You can get some sick merch.
The world's greatest.net.
Is it the world's greatest? What did I say?
The world's great. You said TWG. It's the world's greatest.
Yeah, don't do that. It's the world's greatest.net. Go there. You can get sick merch by this guy. Not just TWG affiliated stuff, but it also has links to his TeePublic and Redbubble, which are Stolen Cheese, all one word.
Yes, Stolen Cheese, all one word. That's correct, sir.
So you can get lots and lots of really cool, nerdy stuff that this man draws.
What the heck? As long as you're checking out Instagram, go to Stolen Cheese World too.
Yeah, why not? Why wouldn't you do that too?
Subscribe and follow.
Subscribe there, follow.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Do all that.
Awesome.
Do all the stuff that people do on the internet. So whatever the kids do
it.
that.
Do it.
Yeah.
Is there anything else I left off for our giveaway? I don't think I did.
I don't think you did. I think we might put an autographed picture of the crew in there. I think we did that once.
Yeah, we did that with our first one. We might do that again.
Yeah. I mean, does T. Crawler still work here? Like, would it be just you?
I don't know. You tell me. I mean, I
don't know. I feel like you haven't been around in a while.
Work.
I mean, that's all.
He shows up sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he'll show up again.
I mean, one day. Fingers crossed. Maybe when we hit 300 subscribers, T. Crawler will show back up.
As a special appearance. Yes, maybe.
Yeah, we'll see.
Maybe he will.
Fingers crossed.
We'll see.
I bet he's... If you're listening right now, you better show up to the next episode. Just saying.
Or we'll be talking the same way.
All right, yeah. So my promise to you, teasy, nice and easy, lemon squeezy, is I'm going to slowly but surely ramp up the shit talking until you make your triumphant return. So that's my promise to you.
But I don't want to have a big the triumphant return.
But don't cut a fucking 10-minute promo again.
Yeah,
so, don't do that.
Just show up.
Also, just a word to you guys that have been following us and sticking with us. Obviously, it means the world to us. But also, we're so small that we still listen and hear all the comments and all the posts that you guys make on whatever platform it is. So if there are things you want us to talk about, movies you want us to watch or review, whatever, like, let us know, and we will go out of our way to try to accomplish those things and try to talk about them in episodes of the podcast or make a video review or whatever.
Affirmative.
We're
gonna do it.
Anything else, Weapon 2?
No, it's been a good time. We did it. Sometimes we
did it again. We did it again.
We missed last month, and we came in. We did the podcast. Sometimes you're like, man, can we still do it? And then we do it.
And then we did it.
We did it.
Yeah, and so last month was busy for all of us, and that's a thing. We are adulting like a mofo, but I don't want to miss another month. We need to do at least one.
We're gonna do it once a month.
We are. Yeah. We're not. You have my word, TWG. I'm not gonna miss another month. So
sounds good.
And you know what? Weapon 2 doesn't have a choice. Because if I had to show up at his house and start turning shit on, he can't stop me. He physically could, but he won't.
I won't. Hey, let's do it.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the world's greatest news and reviews. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, subscribe, and
hit the bell for notifications, bro.
Peace.
Woo! Tornado.